Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass.net. Over the past few months, I've had quite a few emails asking for help with a certain type of slapping. So this week, I'm finally going to give you an introduction to the double thumb technique. As always, the tab and sheet music for everything covered in this lesson can be downloaded from TalkingBass.net. Just follow the link in the info below. And if you're watching this at TalkingBass.net, then just click on the link below the video. Also, check out the lesson map for over 100 of the lessons on different areas of bass playing and subscribe for free to gain access to a bunch of other practice resources and ebooks in the members area. So go check it out. So double thumbing, in case you didn't know, is a style of slapping pretty much pioneered by Victor Wooten. The idea behind it is that instead of just slapping with a downstroke, like this, we can also bring the thumb back up in an upstroke, like this, which allows us to get a different kind of sound and be able to play much faster than we could with normal slapping. So instead of this, we can play at double that speed, like this. So in this lesson, I'm going to give you some tips on getting started with the technique, and we'll also work towards playing a basic double thumb groove that sounds like this. So let's dive straight in with the technique itself. Now, if you've already seen the rest stroke lesson that I released a few weeks ago, then you'll already have a bit of a head start. But if not, don't worry, because I'll take you through that step by step. Now, when you start learning to double thumb, it can seem really strange and difficult at first because it's so different from the stereotypical slap technique where you might be used to bouncing the thumb like this. Now, when we bounce the thumb, we use this kind of motion in the forearm and wrist, and we bounce back off the string like, a finger bouncing back off a palm. But this technique won't work if you're looking to double thumb, because as the thumb bounces, it comes back and there's no way to get it under the string to do the upstroke. So we have to first get used to following through with the thumb. So I've christened this rest stroke. I mean, it's not my technique, it's been used for years, but I've never seen a name for it. So I've named it rest stroke, just like rest stroke in finger picking. So when you finger pick, and the fingers come back to rest on the next string or the thumb, we call that rest stroke. So with rest stroke slapping, we're slapping with the thumb, and the thumb is coming to rest on the next string. Now, I would definitely recommend really nailing the rest stroke slap first before moving on to double thumbing. It really makes a difference to your perspective and your control as you start experimenting. If you've been used to bouncing your thumb all your life and then someone says, okay, to double thumb you strike through and, then come back, the whole thing just seems really alien and nothing like slapping. And that's why people compare it more to plectrum playing than slapping, which is true of the motion. But if you come at the technique in order to expand your slapping in whatever style, you want to be able to integrate it into your current slapping style rather than seeing it as a completely new thing. It makes the application seem much easier. So the first big tip is nail the rest stroke slap. So let's just have a quick refresher on the rest stroke. Now, I would advise you to go over that lesson if you have any problems with this. So I'll give you a link in the info below. And if you want to find it at TalkingBass.net, just go to the lesson map and look under slapping. And we'll just very quickly go over a simple, work through a simple chord progression just using the rest stroke with a simple rhythmic pattern. So remember, for rest stroke, we're going to be slapping through the string and then coming to rest on the next string. So if we slap the open E, for example, we slap the E string and the thumb comes to rest on the A string. Okay? Then if we were to slap the A string, the thumb comes to rest on the D string. Okay? So that's the basics of the technique. Like I say, if you have any problems, just go back over that lesson. So we'll just go through a very simple chord progression of C, F and G. So C for 2 bars, F for 1 bar, G for 1 bar. C here, 3rd fret of the A string. Then we're going to have F, 1st fret of the E string, and then G, 3rd fret of the E string. And the rhythmic pattern is going to go like this. Okay, simple as that. So the rhythmic pattern, that's it. So we've got C for 2 bars, then down to F, G, and back to C. Okay, and you just want to practice that round and round, or anything that you play already, any type of slap kind of grooves. That was a very, very simple example just to get you started. But just concentrate on that rest stroke, bringing that thumb down and coming to rest on that next string, okay? And you want to do it around the end of the fretboard. So if you look at where the last fret is, and that little bit of wood from the fingerboard that comes out past it, I'm coming down onto there, because that's going to help when I come back on the upstroke. But for now, just get used to that, okay? I found when I first started looking at double thumbing that because I wasn't used to doing this rest stroke, it kind of threw me off. And then as soon as I concentrated more on the rest stroke, I found the double thumb thing just came naturally. But, you know, while ever you're used to doing the bounce, it's going to give you problems. Now, in the rest stroke lesson, I mentioned some of the advantages to this technique, and I won't go too far into it here, but one difference that you might immediately notice is the force of the note. It has much more body and volume as opposed to the percussive chime of the bounce. You know, this is because we're following through and actually kind of picking the string as well as hitting it to create that smack against the frets. So with the bounce, we get a little bit more bias towards the harmonics, whereas with the rest stroke, we get more of the fundamental, because it's more like we're actually plucking instead of, you know, just getting those harmonics. So just try using that rest stroke for a while in place of the bounce, and you know, just try it on any of the standard slap grooves that you already know. You might find a few problems with the real fast bouncers, something like this. Because of the, you know, the bounce is quite good for those little flurries like that. And, you know, the rest stroke itself, you know, because you're coming in all the time, it can make things like that quite difficult. But don't worry, you know, you can still use the bounce. This isn't about changing your technique. It's about integrating the rest stroke into the technique that you already have. So it's about adding to your technique rather than changing it. One particular pattern that's worth practicing is the standard octave pattern, because when you play it with the rest stroke, it can feel a little bit different to when we bounce. So if we take an E octave, so 7th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the G string, so an E, when you bounce and you play that octave with a slap and a pop, because the thumb bounces, the finger's then ready to kind of roll over. So we have that kind of rotation of the wrist. When we play with the rest stroke, we're coming straight in and staying down. So we come down and then we come back with the pop. Okay, so it's more of an in-out action than it is a rotation, okay? So that pattern that I just played there, E octave, D, so we've gone down 2 frets, C sharp, so we've gone down a fret to C, down another fret to B, up to C sharp, 2 frets, up to D, next fret up, then up another fret, D sharp, and then back to E. And that's all written out in the lesson material that you can download. Just follow the link below. So again, that's E, D, C sharp, C, B, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. And just go round and round. Okay? So that's the rest stroke. So now let's try the double thumb. So for this, we're just going to fret a D, 5th fret of the A string. And first of all, just play a rest stroke. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we're slapping at the end of the neck there, at the end of the fingerboard. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that people do this. I've seen people slap over the pickups, slap, further up the neck, but I find that it helps just there at the end of the fingerboard. So past that last fret, and the thumb just kind of comes to rest on the D string and sort of on the fingerboard. So we've come down. Now, when we play the upstroke coming back, we're going to be using kind of the corner of the thumbnail there. And depending on how much attack you want, you can, get right under there and come right up with the thumbnail. But usually it's going to be the edge of the thumbnail. When I very first started trying this, I was trying to do it with the side of the thumb, with the skin. And, that can hurt, you get blisters, things like that. Because I was coming in wrong. So I was coming in there and trying to kind of lift up the string with the side of the finger, when in fact, it's much easier if you come back with the thumbnail. So to do that, try to think of the thumb almost coming down with a little bit more of the front pad of the thumb. So you're coming down so that the thumbnail is ready there to come back. When you slap, usually, you come down with the side of the thumb. So when I was doing it to begin with, I was coming down with the side edge. So when I came back, I was still coming back with the side edge. If you come down more, not with the front of the thumb, but the kind of side edge of the thumb there, in more of a downward motion, it means that you're just there ready to come back with the thumbnail. Okay, so again, just on that D, we slap down in rest stroke and then come back up. Now also, instead of just using the wrist like we would with the rotation, with the bounce, we're actually going to be using more of the forearm. So we're actually kind of pulling it back a little bit more. Not a lot, we're not going to be yanking it back like this, but there is more of this kind of motion going on with the forearm here. So we're coming, it gives us a bit more force, because otherwise if you try just doing it with the rotation of the hand, you're not going to get as much power with it. So, and we want more consistency of tone. So down, back up, down and up, and just try, relax there. Oh, and also, before I forget, when you come down with the thumb, with the bounce, often you'll see the thumb being at this kind of either a 45-degree angle, or with some people it's coming right up if you've got your bass like that. But with this, the thumb is more parallel with the string. Not completely parallel, because we still need to be able to kind of come back out with that thumbnail, but pretty, to all intents and purposes, it's pretty much parallel with the string. Okay, so if you try just doing it with the wrist, you'll feel that there's not that much pull with it. Then just try bringing a bit more with the arm. Okay? Okay, so you just want to try, very slowly, just coming in and out there, and then just build up speed. And when you build up speed like that, you'll find that then the arm starts doing more, and it does become more like the action of playing with a plectrum, so that it's more like the hand is doing this. And the thumb is kind of, whacking against the string in a kind of flutter motion. So then it becomes more up and down like this. As you need to, as you build up more speed and more power, okay? So, as a very simple bassline exercise, we're just going to work through the notes A, C, D, G. Okay, very simple, A, C, D, G. And we'll start with A, 5th fret of the E string, C, 3rd fret of the A string, D, 5th fret of the A string, and G, 3rd fret of the E string. Okay, very simple, A, C, D, G. Okay, and we'll begin by just playing quarter notes. So it's one note on each beat. With rest stroke. So that would sound like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay. Next, we'll introduce the double thumb technique by playing eighth notes. So we're going to play 2 hits on each note. So that would sound like this. Okay, so we have A, C, C, D, D, G, G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's try playing that groove with a drum track, and this drum track is available to download with the lesson material, okay, so with the PDF. So 2, 3, 4. Now let's try adding some 16th notes in there, and this is where the double thumb technique really comes into its own. So to begin with, we're just going to play 2 16th notes together. So this is going to be on 1 E and okay, so the first 2 16th notes. So that would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So we're going to be playing downstroke on the beat and then the upstroke on the E. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay, as you build up speed. Okay, so let's try that with the drum track. 4. Now we'll play 3 16th notes. So this is going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, so it's going to be down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And it's at this point that you can start to see that this really is like pick playing, you know, like plectrum playing. The action of it and even the tone of it at times, you know, it sounds like quite heavy plectrum playing, okay? So, with the drum track. Okay. Now finally, let's try 4 16th notes. So this is going to be a constant stream of 16ths. So we're going to have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and etc. So that's going to sound like this. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and bit quicker. And for any of you Anthrax fans out there, got the time tick tick ticking in my head. Now let's try that with the backing track. So you want to aim for consistency of attack and timing as you play. So that's where the drum track comes in. You know, you can really kind of lock in and zone in on the drums there. And if you have any problems with getting the consistency, just remember what I said about the coming down with almost the front pad of the thumb, because that means that you can get a little bit more under the string as you come down. You know, and come back up with that corner bit of the nail. You know, if you go down and then come back kind of with the side of the thumb or anything like that, the return might not have enough snap. So, you know, by coming down, we get a little bit more of that nail there and to come back up. Okay? Now let's have a look at one final bass line, and this is the bass line that I showed you right at the beginning of the lesson. So it's gonna sound like this. Okay, so, you know, it's a pretty consistent stream of 16th notes, so getting used to that previous bass line, that'll come in quite handy with this. And the key to this bass line is keeping that movement in the hand, you know, so if you watch how I play it, the thumb is going in and out, in and out. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So we begin with an open E, and we're going to play double thumb. So, okay, so just on an open E string. Then we move to a D and then an E. Okay, so we have, so 5th fret of the A string and then 7th fret of the A string. So we have, but in between the D and the E, we've got a ghost note played with the upstroke. So like I said before, we're keeping the thumb moving in an in-out motion. So in between the D, we play the D, ghost note, so we bring the fingers down, then 4th finger for the E. So 1st finger for the D, ghost note, you know, fingers down, and then E, 4th finger. So let's just isolate that move with the D and the E. So we have D, ghost note, and then E. So let's try it very, very slow and then build up speed. Bit quicker. Okay. And don't worry about the ghost note really ripping out there. It doesn't really matter because we've just still got the thumb in this, you know, in this motion, and you'll kind of feel it more than, you know, hearing this snap. If all of the ghost notes came out with these whack, 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 you know, with the snaps, there'd just be no feel to it. It's ghost notes are better when they're actually a little bit more subtle. So, and like I said, on that open E at the start, I sometimes play the second note as a ghost note. Okay. Now the next move has 2 fretted notes in it, so they're going to be C sharp, 4th fret of the A string, and D, 5th fret of the A string. C sharp with the 1st finger, D with the 2nd finger. And around there we've got a bunch of ghost notes. So we start with 2 ghost notes, so we have, then we have C sharp on the downstroke, then a ghost note, then the D. So 2 ghost notes, C sharp, ghost note, D. So very slowly. And then we've got another 2 ghost notes. So like I say, there's a lot of ghost notes here. Okay, so when we add it all together, you get to see how the upstrokes and downstrokes work with this. So I'll just go through very, very slowly. So after we've played the D and the E, you can see there that the 2 initial ghost notes before the C sharp, start with the upstroke. So the C sharp and the D are both played with upstrokes. And then the final two ghost notes are down, up, okay? So that's because of the because we're hitting off beats there with it. So when you're hitting these things that are on weak beats and you're playing in an up down motion, when you hit off beats, they're going to be on the upstrokes. This happens with plectrum playing as well, and it happens with finger picking. If you're playing with 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, or vice versa, you're going to be, if you're playing 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, and 2 is on the strong beat, if you want to accent the off beats, you're going to be doing it on the opposing finger, on the first finger. So this applies to everything, and certainly in drums. When people are playing drum rolls, you'll hear accents on the let's say the left hand. If you're accenting on the right hand, you suddenly change to the left hand, and you'll get off beats, okay, or up beats. So again, through the riff. Now, the next few notes are the only place in the riff where we don't keep that consistent motion of the hand going. So the notes are G, A, G, okay? And on the final G, you can put a little bit of a shake on there if you want. So we've got G, A, G, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret on the E string. And that's down, up, down with the thumb. Okay, so when we add that to the rest of the riff, so that's pretty much all of the riff, but on the second time through, we just have a little variation. So instead of playing the G, A, G, we play A, B, D, E, okay? So 5th fret, 7th fret, E string, and then 5th fret, 7th fret, A string. Okay, and it's down, up with the thumb. So that'll sound like this. Okay, so both riffs together. Now let's try that whole riff with the backing track. Okay? So I hope that helps a little with learning how to double thumb, and if you want to hear some great applications of this technique, then your first port of call should definitely be Victor Wooten. He's the master of this style of playing, and he can play pretty much anything with it, including crazy fast bebop tunes like Donna Lee. So just keep practicing that down and upstroke motion, and don't worry if it seems to take forever to nail it. I think everyone has trouble to begin with. I know I did. Just keep experimenting and practicing, and eventually things will start to click. If you get a sore thumb, just have a rest, take a day off, come back to it. So remember to visit TalkingBass.net to download the lesson material, and I'll see you later.